Um, so I've been having a lot of conversation with different women leaders, and we were discussing that there's a divine women and there's a victim women. Those are the two categories that we often see. And what it is that when something has happened which is not positive, sometimes women hold it and it's not processed properly. And the sadness and the wound of that sometimes comes back in a negative way or in a different way, which we wouldn't be kind. But the key is for anyone is to understand their own self-leadership. Because if somebody is not inspired by their own leadership and how they lead themselves, leading another group, it's difficult. There would always be balance. So I totally agree and support that self-leadership is very important, and holding a space when something like this happens. So then other women understand that this was not that kind. Because kindness, consciousness, empathy, that grows business. You have the proof of that in your own business. But oftentimes it's not discussed and amplified that way.
Yeah, I think actually an interesting point to reflect on is what you talked about with your twins. Have you read the book Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus? I think when I also was going through my career, before I had my own business, I worked in two really large corporate multinationals. So I worked for Reckitt Benckiser, which was one of, the top 100 FTSE companies in the UK, stock market, very male dominated. And then I worked for Mars Incorporated, which is one of the largest family companies, who are incredible in terms of what they do as a business, in all of these topics we're talking about. But I used to think that to be successful, I had to behave like a man. But actually, men and women are different, and I think, really sort of not trying to be like the guys and just leading through our own female patterns and, being fine with that. My husband, all the time, he tells me we're going to a meeting together, we run the business together. He'll say, Charlotte, please don't talk too much. And he still says that to me. And I tell him, Palette, that's you, and this is me, and the way I feel comfortable to get to what I want to achieve in this meeting is through, being more communicative, being more open, which has many side benefits of building trust, authenticity, and it's about not being concerned that that's different, and not trying to be like the guys, but really living through the unique things that women can bring and girls can bring. So I have boys and girls, but really, yes, they should hold each other in equal regard, but also really trying to teach them the difference between boys and girls and celebrate that.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. It's about how to teach boys and girls to, to understand each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I have a lot of friends, who have been through, difficult marriages. And often it comes down to, men and women not being able to understand each other. So it's there even on a personal level. And then that's reflected in a boardroom or in the work environment.
But I think that's a huge role of parents, right, as well. And from what you're saying, like in your household, you were bringing them up with the idea. I mean, they already were themselves, the same. And then yet the outer society sort of forces them. Do you talk about that with them?
Yes. So, but then they're confused, right? They're at a very young age. They're confused, like, which is right? Is this correct, or should we follow the other? So they're yet to realize what it could have an impact on them, or to see what is best for them. They're not able to connect to it. So they're currently going through a phase when slightly not able to follow what we tell them to do. To what is actually seeing in the outer society. So it's like a